and welcome to Be My Guest, the program which brings you successful stories of entrepreneurs and organizations in both domestic and international arenas. I'm Charlotte Napian. And in this week's program, we are talking to two experts in organic agriculture, the concept which sustains the health of soils, ecosystem, and people. And the agriculturists try their best to avoid the use of inputs of adverse effects. And that term could be quite new in Thailand agricultural sector. It's extremely worthwhile to learn more the potential of Thailand to adapt the concept to create the environment, sustainability, and business competitiveness in not only domestic, but also international arenas. Currently, I am with Mr. Andre Loy, the president of iPhone Organics International. Swadika.
Swadika.
So, first of all, could you introduce yourself to our fans to be my guest?
Okay. My name is Andre Loy, and I'm the president of iPhone Organics International, and we are the global umbrella body for the whole organic movement, and that includes farmers, consumers, researchers, the market, traders, government regulation. In fact, all the actors or participants, stakeholders, come under our umbrella. We are an organisation of organisations. We have around 800 organisations in 125 countries, including quite a few organisations here in Thailand.
I see, okay. So what are the ultimate goal of iPhone, because there are loads of organizations, comprising or under iPhone Organics International, right?
What our major aim is to increase the level of organic farming and consuming in the world.
Okay. So talking about organic agriculture, it can be a really new concept to Thai consumers, Thai farmers. So what is actually organic agriculture?
Organic agriculture is a form of agriculture that looks at using natural sciences to increase or improve the growth of food and fibre and other agricultural products. What we avoid is synthetic chemical as pesticides or fertilizers and also genetically modified plants. And instead what we want to do is work with the ecological sciences. For instance, we can replace synthetic chemical fertilizers with natural composts, getting plants that will fix nitrogen from the air. We can also use natural minerals, and by basically using the biology and the ecology, we can increase the fertility of the soil and thus grow more healthy plants. Similarly with pests and diseases, what we largely do is replace them with ecological systems, such as changing environment so that beneficial insects will come in and eat the pests.
I see.
Similarly with diseases, we can bring in beneficial organisms that will control the diseases. And this is called the science of agroecology. We apply it to organic products. So consequently, our farms are actually usually very diverse because we bring this diversity in, and our farms are also more resilient, and we're finding as we go into climate change, for instance, that organic farms are getting higher yields than conventional farms.
I see, okay. Now what about the world situation, organic agriculture movement right now?
It's growing rapidly. We are the fastest multi-product agricultural sector in the world, and at the moment we're getting organic data from about 172 countries. Where we are collecting that data, it is growing everywhere, much faster than any other agricultural movement. For instance, we're worth over $80 billion US dollars now in trade, and that is growing every year.
Okay, so that means the consumers' awareness towards organic products are more nowadays.
Yes, look, it's increasing all the time in our more mature markets such as Western Europe and the United States, for instance, and Australia. We're finding that 80% of consumers are aware of organic products, and actually in that 80% they all buy some organic products. So we are the best known brand out of all the sustainability brands.
I see, okay.
But we're also finding in countries like Thailand, China, India, Brazil, the emerging middle classes are very concerned about the safety and health of their food, and they are driving the growth of organics at a very fast level. For instance, in China now, it's gone from the last 10 years of having virtually no organic or very small organic sector to now it's the 4th biggest in the world, and that is being driven by the Chinese emerging middle class who are very concerned about the health and safety of their food and their families.
Okay, and regarding this movement, so in your idea, how it benefits, all stakeholders?
Well, if we start with the farmers all around the world, and that includes Thailand, my country, Australia, in India or China or Brazil, in Europe, farmers are leaving agriculture because it is no longer considered a profitable industry. And we are losing millions of farmers every year walking off their land and living in poverty in the edge of cities. In our case, we grow 200,000 new organic farmers because they are viable. It is worth being an organic farmer, and what is very exciting to us is that we're getting in the next generation of women and men who want to be farmers. The youth are coming back into farming, whereas if you look at most farming communities, it's old men and women like myself in the 60s who are the farmers. We are just so excited now to see the new generation taking over from us, and they want to be organic farmers.
Okay, so that's one way that organic, agriculture movement can benefit farmers. And in terms of consumers then, so what they can get from this?
It's health. When we look at the surveys for consumers, whether we look in Europe or the United States, Australia, China, or in South Africa or Brazil, the #1 reason for buying organic food is health. And when we break down health, we actually find it's not that so much that the food is more nutritious, it's they want to avoid pesticides and GMOs. That is the major reason for the growth in organic.
Okay, and in your idea, as Thailand or other Southeast Asia countries, so we are not like Western countries in terms of our financial stability. So how organic products, can make accessible or can be more accessible, to people living in the developing countries like Thailand?
Look, I think the main issue here is one of time. The organic movements, the modern organic movement started in Europe, United States, Australia, about just after the end of the Second World War. So our countries look like 70 to 80 years of organic. In Thailand, for instance, it started about 25, 26 years ago. So, so that awareness will grow. I think what is really interesting is that your rate of growth and awareness is far greater than in the Western countries where organic agriculture first started. And you'll see as a matter of time that more and more consumers will know about organic and will drive it. And the best example I can give of that is China. It started much the same way as you've started here, where it's the export market, where the government, for instance, is interested in getting the high premium for organic products on the markets in Europe and in the USA.
I see.
Now what's happening in China, they export about $500 million US dollars worth of organic products. But within China, in the local market, they actually have a market worth $8 billion. So in other words, it's 16 times the size
Wow.
of the export market, and that has been driven by particularly the mothers and fathers who are just so concerned about the health of
I
their
see.
family.
Okay. So from my idea, I think that organic, movement in Thailand is quite a new concept here. But you have brought a very interesting, concept today, and then you have shed light and understanding of what organic agriculture movement is. And could you talk a bit about your book, which you have written, A Myth of Safe Pesticides?
I wrote the book, The Myths of Safe Pesticides, which, by the way, has been translated into Thai. And I wrote it mainly to inform parents about the real dangers of pesticides based on published peer-reviewed science. Peer-reviewed publications are regarded as the gold standard in science. So I wanted to keep this debate based on good science that is accessible to the public. And essentially what the science shows is that there is absolutely no evidence of any safe level of pesticides for the developing baby, newborn babies and young children, that any pesticide is unsafe for them. And I go into show the science and the whole range of diseases that can come from these small amounts of pesticides in the food. The other reason I wrote it is because the majority of people who buy organic foods are concerned about pesticides, and our governments say they shouldn't be concerned because these small amounts don't matter, they're too small to cause any problems. But I wanted to show that the science that the regulators use is a very poor science, and that the published science, the one done by the independent scientists, shows that parents should be very concerned, in fact should avoid any food with the smallest amount of pesticides on it.
Okay, so in your ideas, for chemical, or contaminated vegetables cannot be only washed away or washed out by water, or different ways of washing vegetables.
Look, washing a vegetable will not get off the pesticides. I know people say just wash it or peel it. For a start, most of these pesticides are applied with what's called a sticker that sticks it on. So when it rains, the pesticide doesn't wash off. So when you wash it, those sticker chemicals will only wash off a little bit. But the fact is, most of the modern pesticides are called systemic. They're absorbed, they're not just on the surface of the fruit or the vegetable, they're absorbed by the whole plant and they're inside it. So even if you peel it, you might get rid of 10%, but you still have 90% of the pesticides in the food.
Ah, I see.
And cooking won't destroy it either.
Okay.
These pesticides are very residual.
Okay, so our watcher and viewers can get Thai version of your book, so that they can get correct information about the safe sides of having vegetables, or what is the good thing about organic fruits and vegetables. So last but not least, any final note for our viewers?
Yeah, look, I think the really important things about people buying organic vegetables, one is for health, avoiding pesticides. We now also have the largest nutrition study. This was done by experts at Newcastle University and other experts around the world, and they looked at over 273 comparison studies between organic and conventional. And what they found was that organic food has around 30% higher levels of antioxidants. Now the antioxidants are what break down the sorts of things that, chemicals that will cause cancers and other diseases. So it actually shows that organic food not only will prevent cancers through not having the poisons, they can also start preventing the damage done by other environmental exposures that we get that cause diseases. I think that's really important. The other really important one is for consumers to, when they go into shops, always ask for organic, because that will drive the growth.
I
And that
see.
is and it actually is consumers that are driving the growth, and we need more organic farmers. And the other thing, that by buying more organic, that actually helps farmers. So instead of farmers going out of business and leaving their farms,
I
now
see.
they can change their businesses and be organic farms, be profitable, and really important, have a future career for their children in farming.
I see. Okay, so you have a beautifully underlined the importance of organic products here, or organic vegetables. So thank you very much for your time today. ขอบคุณค่ะ
Kokumaka, thank you.
But for now, it's time for a short break. We'll be right back and we'll meet another guest who will shade on the importance of organic fertilizer or even organic product. So please stay tuned and be my guest.